You're listening to the Plant-Based, Not Perfect podcast, where we talk about striving for our healthiest selves while living in the real world. So, let's get into it. Welcome to episode number 27, and happy Monday. Before I get into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys so much for your support of my ebook. If you have not checked it out yet, it's available on my blog at hotandhealthy.com. I will link to it in the show notes, but it is an ebook that breaks down simple and easy plant-based meal ideas for breakfast, lunch, dinner. It has snacks. I cover all of my favorite no oil dressing recipes. I also talk about what I typically eat in a day and what I follow. So that is the ebook that's available on my blog if you guys want to check it out. And I also just wanted to announce on here that I designed and created some really cute plant-based, not perfect shirts. You might have seen them on my Instagram. They are custom croppable, so you can cut them as short as you want. I like them pretty short. Or you don't have to cut them at all and you can wear them like a normal t-shirt. They come in 4 different colors. They're really cute. I'm super excited about it. I haven't announced it officially yet, but I wanted to just mention it on here to you guys first. So if you want to check those out, those are also available on my blog. And I feel like it is the perfect time right now to spread the message of plant-based, not perfect, because there is so much disagreement out there between eating a 100% vegan diet or eating a paleo diet. And there's just so many diets floating around. And I was thinking about this because I was watching Joe Rogan's podcast where he had one of the creators of the Gamechangers documentary on to basically argue with Chris Kessler, who had come on previously to Joe Rogan and quote unquote debunked the Gamechangers. And the Joe Rogan podcast, it's almost 4 hours long, but essentially he gives the floor to the producer of the Gamechangers to kind of argue with Chris Kessler about things that he said that weren't factual in the movie, when in fact they were. To summarize the podcast episode, what everyone on it agrees on is that we should be eating mostly plants, but that not everyone needs to be 100% vegan, but that plant-based is the way to go. And I thought it was just very interesting to hear that they were in agreement, but they kind of just argued about studies and what someone said about the study. But I think ultimately, you know, he was defending his film because he spent 7 years making it. And he really spent a lot of time researching the information that was provided in Gamechangers. So he was very passionate about how he felt about his film. And I think that that definitely comes across. And I thought it was very interesting. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what everyone can agree on is that we need to be eating primarily plants. So I feel that the plant-based, not perfect message is at the perfect time right now for all of these conversations that are happening between which diet is the best diet. So I just wanted to touch on that. If you guys haven't watched the Joe Rogan podcast about the Gamechangers, it's very interesting to make sure that you're always being informed and getting both sides of every argument. I like to watch things that maybe I wouldn't particularly think that I'm going to agree with, just so I always keep an open mind and I know both sides of everything. And the other thing that I wanted to mention on today's podcast, I posted something about this last night, but there's actually a really good documentary called The Champions, and it is about the dogs that were rescued from Mike Vick's dog fighting. And they are so inspirational. It's very heartwarming. And if you have any preconceived notions about the pit bull breed, I highly suggest that you watch this documentary. It's available on YouTube for free. And as someone who had a pit bull, I feel very passionately about this message that's being put out there. And I think that it will help change your mind if maybe you have some preconceived notions about the pit bull breed. And it's just a really wonderful movie to see these amazing people who took in these dogs, helped them get over the trauma from being in dog fights, and just their personalities, and seeing how they can live with families and be, family dogs. So I think if you are looking for something to watch, the Champions documentary is also very interesting. So for today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to stay healthy and fit through the holidays. There are only 15 days left until Christmas Eve. Holy shit. And everyone's talking about how, this is the end of the decade and what are you going to do with your life? So I thought it would be a good time to just kind of take our temperature and talk about the best ways to kind of prep our lives and our mind to staying healthy and fit through the next few weeks into the new year. So the first thing I wanted to touch on was I talk a lot about planning and preparing because I believe that is the key to making healthy food choices. So the first thing is change how you plan and prepare. So depending on where you live, switching up how you plan and prepare and ordering some of the items in bulk on Amazon, or if you use Thrive Market, I think those are both good opportunities to order things that you can make big batches of, like lentils and oats and beans and things like that. We have to make sure to still plan and prepare, or we're going to be more likely to make poor eating choices when we're at work or at the end of a long day. We're just gonna go and pick up something that's less healthy because we don't have healthy food at home. So we still need to make sure we're planning and preparing. But when it is cold, I know it's hard to get motivated to actually go to the store, or it might be hard to be motivated to make your food for the week. So think about things that you're craving that can last you more than one meal, that you can bring with you to work, that you can eat multiple nights in a row. And I'm going to get into that further later on in the episode. Another tip I wanted to give when planning and preparing is to check out my grocery list series over on my blog. I'm going to have a new one this week with a lot of meals that are hot meals. And what I do is I give you guys a printable list of everything I buy at the farmer's market, everything I buy at Trader Joe's, how much of what I buy, what everything costs, and then I break out in my blog post all the meals that I made from it to give you inspiration, motivation, recipes, and just help inspire you to make healthy food choices each day. So that is a new series I've been doing, and I will have my next list posted this week for you guys. The next thing I wanted to speak about was modifying your routine. So because it's getting colder out in most places, not necessarily in Florida, but there are some mornings here that it's been kind of colder for us in the morning, and you don't necessarily maybe want to, go for a run in the morning, but especially in places that are really cold, I assume that it's probably difficult if you are normally working out outside, or even if you're going to a workout class, just getting there can be harder when it's cold out. You just want to go home and, get cozy, which I definitely understand. So what I would do, especially around the holidays when we have more events happening at night, is you might have to modify your workout routine and change it up. So if you have night events that are happening, try to wake up a little bit earlier and work out in the morning inside your house where it's warm, or maybe on your lunch break. I've been posting lately how I've been going to Solid Core on my lunch break instead of going after work. And I've really been liking it because it's getting darker here earlier. So when I would go to class after and then not get home till 8 o'clock at night, it just felt really late. And I kind of like just having the workout done on my lunch break. And then when I'm done with work, I can go home and do other things. So I think you have to look at your routine and modify it. Don't just give up on working out because it's cold. Think about the workouts you can do indoors. And I think ones that are really good for that obviously is Melissa Wood health workouts, if you guys already are doing those. If not, I would highly recommend checking them out. I do them about 3 times a week, and even if I only get in a 10-minute one, I always feel better, and it just keeps me motivated throughout the week, and they're easy to just do in the comfort of your home. Some other ones that I like are Pam RF on YouTube. Hers are free as well. And she has more high intensity interval training workouts. They're pretty quick though. Some of hers are 10 minutes, some are 20 minutes, but they're really good to get your heart rate going. So maybe those would be good to do in the morning before you go to work as well. And there's so many other free workouts on YouTube, whatever you're in the mood for. If you're looking for yoga or you want to do Pilates, or if you want something more high intensity, just Google it or go through YouTube and look it up, because there are so many free ones available on there. And I think just trying to make sure that we are moving every single day is going to keep us on track to being healthy and fit all through the holidays. We don't want to just take time off because it's the holidays, and then we're also maybe eating a little bit less healthy or drinking more, and then you get into the rut of the new year and all of a sudden you're trying some weird diet in the new year. You don't want to have to do that. I think if you can make these consistent commitments every day about working out and being prepared to eat healthy, then you're not going to have to worry about doing that in the new year. So that brings me to my next point, which is making a commitment to move each day. Even if it's for a 10-minute workout, movement is one of the best things we can do for our health. And I'm going to share in the show notes a link to a study that I read about on Dr. Rhonda Patrick's website. But the conclusion of it says that exercise is an effective intervention for preventing or mitigating depression. With cold weather, especially in very cold places, comes seasonal depression. And around the holidays, there's also just heightened instances of depression overall. You hear a lot about suicides in the Christmas season. And one of the best ways that we can combat depression is with exercise. So not only for the health benefits of exercise for your heart, for your brain, there's lots of studies that show that exercise can help combat against Alzheimer's and dementia. Even for people who already have Alzheimer's and dementia, exercise is the best thing that they can be doing. So why wouldn't you want to start now so that you never get Alzheimer's or dementia? So not only is it good for that, but it has been proven to be effective for preventing or mitigating depression. And I have talked about this before, and I plan on actually doing a whole podcast around mental health and depression, as it has affected my family, and I would like to go more in depth on that, but it's definitely a whole nother podcast episode. That was one of the big things for me. A couple years ago was only worrying about what I was eating and eating super clean, but I wasn't that motivated to really work out. And my mentality has really changed around it, because I want to make sure that I'm also taking care of my heart and I'm taking care of my brain, and just overall the feeling of happiness that you get from moving your body. I think it's really important, and especially around the holidays. So I wanted to touch on that as well. My next tip is switching up your go-to meals. So when it's hotter outside, as you have seen, I eat a lot of smoothies and acai bowls and cold fruit. But Even living in Florida, when it's colder in the morning, I'm not really wanting something freezing cold. So I have a few tips and ideas around this to help inspire you guys. The first thing is I am still having my green smoothie every morning, but I'm having it at room temperature. So I bring my smoothie to work every single day, and I don't have it until I break my fast around 10 or 11. And I will not put it in the fridge at work. I leave it on my desk, and then when I drink it, it's not cold anymore. It's not warm and gross, but it isn't freezing anymore. So you're not feeling like it's too cold to drink. So that is a tip that I have. And then I think just switching up, like I spoke about earlier, and thinking about some go-to meals that you really like, that are warming and grounding, that you can make, that are going to give you leftovers so you can have them multiple nights in a row. You could bring them to work, and then you are prepared. So some of those things in the morning might be oatmeal, because that's a more warmer breakfast. Soups, you guys know how much I love soup. Some kind of stews, and you could do any kind of beans in them. I mean, the options are really endless. You can do warm veggies over rice or over noodles. I also have a couple recipes that I have linked to, or that are my recipes that are on the blog, that are very warming, such as the curry chickpeas over sweet potatoes. That is a really good recipe. I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes. I also have one on my blog for lentil ragu that you can put over pasta, or you could do it over zoodles if you don't want to eat pasta. The latest one everyone's really been loving is my warm Brussels Caesar salad. That one's super easy to make. It's quick. It's very healthy for you, and it's just one of my favorite ones. So I would definitely check that one out. I have a whole post dedicated to the recipe over on my blog. And then I think, mushrooms are a really great vegetable that we can use in so many different ways, whether you just cook them and put them in a wrap, or you add them with veggies and put them over a salad. You can also put them in a food processor and make like your own burger patty with the mushrooms and maybe some black beans. Also over pasta, kind of like the lentil ragu, you can add mushrooms in it. So I feel like mushrooms are a really great alternative to meat. They give you kind of a meat satisfaction, but they're healthy for you. So I wanted to speak on that as well, just to give you guys some ideas for some go-to meals that you can be eating during the holiday season that are warming, that you're actually going to want at the end of a colder day. So next I wanted to speak about staying consistent with work events and holiday parties, because this is a time of year when there's lots of different events going on and work Christmas parties that you need to attend. So before you go, I think having a plan is the most important thing. If you know where you're eating, look up the menu so you know what you're going to order, or if they give you a menu to choose from, then you can make that decision before you get there. If you're having it at a place that doesn't really have healthy options, I would make sure to eat some vegetables before, or a salad before you get there, so you're not tempted to just only eat if it's like a bunch of fried food. You want to make sure that you're having some healthy foods before you go. And I think too, just enjoying yourself. It's okay to not be perfect. And I think you need to enjoy yourself around the holidays. I know for myself, for my company's holiday party, I actually help plan it so I can see what the food is. A vegetarian app that I can have. And then for dinner, I'm going to have the fish. And it's such a small part of my everyday life that I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to enjoy myself. And I think that finding that, I don't want to say the word balance because I kind of hate that word, but finding that groove is really what being plant-based, not perfect means. It's allowing yourself to enjoy things sometimes and not freak out about them, because it's such a minimal part of your lifestyle. So I think just preparing yourself before you go to an event. And if you're going somewhere and you don't know what you're going to be eating, or they're only going to have appetizers, then eat before you go. And then you are full and you're not going to be tempted to eat really unhealthy food when you're at the event. The next thing I wanted to talk about in relation to being healthy and fit around the holidays is, of course, how to stay healthy in the office. At my office, around this time is when our clients send us gift baskets. They're usually filled with chocolates and cookies. A lot of people bring in bagels and donuts. And one of the top things that I do during the holiday season is I make my own healthy vegan cookies and I bring them in to work. And I also give them to the maintenance men in our building. They actually call me the cookie lady because I bring them cookies every year. And I don't tell them that they're healthy, but they say they like them. And I think just bringing them in and showing people that you can make healthy, delicious holiday treats that aren't filled with gross ingredients and too much sugar is really cool. So I recommend making your own vegan holiday treat. Also, going back to the first thing I spoke about, if you plan and prepare for the week in the office and you have food with you, you have your green smoothie, you have healthy snacks on hand, you have your lunch with you, you're going to be less tempted to eat the crap. So making sure you're prepared is one of the biggest tips that you can follow. And then, like I spoke about, enjoying yourself and allowing for that percentage where you're not perfect, allow yourself to have something if you really want it, but not every single day. That's going to add up. If every day you're allowing yourself cookies and chocolates, you're not going to be feeling good about yourself. You're, potentially going to gain weight. So I think just allowing yourself to have something, sometimes I'm not really in the mood for anything that's there anyways, but on a Friday, maybe I do want to try a piece of chocolate, but I have one piece of chocolate. Or sometimes they will have popcorn, like different flavored popcorns, and I really love the cheddar one, and that's definitely a weakness of mine, and I will have a couple handfuls of it, and I don't stress about it because it's once a year that I have it, and it is not that big of a deal. So that is my recommendation for that. And just keep your goals in mind. If your goal is to be your healthiest self possible, your fittest self possible, you're not going to get there eating crap junk food every single day and then wondering why you're not fit and healthy. You have to be dedicated. I think allowing yourself that kind of 10 to 20% of having some unhealthy food and not stressing about it is awesome. And then the other 80% of your diet, you're eating whole plant-based foods, then you're not going to gain weight. You're not going to feel gross and badly about yourself as you go into the new year and then, get on some crash juice diet or something. That's not what we want to do. The other way to set yourself up for success for this is by journaling. If you journal every morning and start your day in the right headspace and you write out what your goals are and what your intentions are. If your intention is to have a healthy body and your intention is to be fit and fitting into a certain pair of jeans or something, and that is your goal, if you write that out every morning, then you're going to start your day in that mindset so that when you go to work, you are not as tempted to eat unhealthy food because you know what your goal is, you have that in your sight, and you know that you want to stick to it. So I think that journaling is really important because it just puts you in that right mentality. And then you go to work and you don't have as hard of a time. So those are my main tips and tricks to staying healthy and fit through the holidays. I hope you guys really enjoyed them. And before I end today's episode, I wanted to answer a question that I received through Instagram. So the question is asking what my thoughts are on Inulin Powder. So Inulin Powder has kind of become more popular over the last few years. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Skinny Confidential had on a guest. Her name is Ingrid De La Marqueni. I've spoken about her before. I love her. I think she's amazing. And she has a product that is an inulin powder that a lot of people in the United States are ordering. She lives in Monaco, I believe. And a lot of people have been asking me if it's beneficial, what I think about it. So I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on inulin today. So studies show that inulin can help stimulate the growth of beneficial bacteria, which then improves digestion, immunity, and health. And that is why it essentially leads to a flatter stomach. So a lot of people are posting on Instagram that having the inulin, then they have a flat stomach every morning. And the reason is because it's stimulating the growth of good bacteria. So if you are someone who experiences digestive issues, then this could be a very good option for you because it's a prebiotic. And I know that Ingrid mixes it with her coffee every morning, and it can help you with building up your beneficial bacteria, which is then going to help improve your digestion and give you a flat stomach. So if you are interested in getting it, make sure you do your research. Don't just buy the cheapest option on Amazon. You don't want one that's from like China or something. Inulin is made with Jerusalem artichoke, and you want to make sure that it is organic. One of the best ones is definitely Ingrid's, so I will link to that in the show notes as well. And as always, feel free to message me through my blog or through Instagram. I love hearing your comments, your feedback, your suggestions, and what you want to hear about next on the podcast. Thank you. Bye.